Hey horror fans, once again it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. It's time to do a tag video. Doing a lot of tags these past couple of months or these past couple of weeks. This one is called the Hey Internet Horror Tag. Now this tag, I was tagged by my good friend Eric. His channel is called Hey Internet, It's Eric. He has a horror channel. I'm going to leave his link in the description channel below. He's a very good friend of mine. He has great content on his YouTube channel. He also does a podcast with his good buddy of his. I think it's called Two Bearded Guys, if I'm not mistaken. He came up with an interesting tag where he calls it Hey Internet Horror Tag because it's kind of based upon his channel. So he tagged me, so he has 12 questions, and so it's time to do the tag. The first question is going to be scariest slasher character. Now, of course, we got a lot of slasher characters to choose from in this particular topic right here, but I'm going to go with Candyman. Yes, Tony Todd's character, Candyman. Mainly because when he kills, he viciously kills. He's not the typical Freddy or Jason or Michael or even Chucky. I just like how he simply kills. And of course, with his very, portrayed by Tony Todd in that nice deep baritone voice when he talks to Virginia Marston's character, be my victim. So if you want to talk about a scary slasher, it is Candyman. Now, the second question is worst sequel in a franchise, and it has to be 4 movies or more to be considered a franchise. And of course, if most people know, the worst sequel I've seen in a franchise obviously is Halloween Resurrection. And I'm pretty sure you haven't known by now why I do not like this movie, because it practically ruins, totally ruins the ending of Halloween H2O. You had Jamie Lee Curtis come back, kind of like a Scream clone, because Scream came out and everyone wanted to be the next Scream movie. So you had Josh Hartnett, who played her son. She's back. Michael's back. And at the end of the movie, you had the perfect ending where she finally confronts her brother and she chops his head off. And guess what they do? Because people want to make money, and the movie studio says, we got to make more money, so let's come up with another Halloween. But we killed Michael off in the last movie, so how are we going to get it back? Well, we're going to say that wasn't Michael's head he cut off. It was Michael who somehow faked his own death. He actually got some ambulance guy and put him in that, and Jamie wanted to kill him, and she went crazy. And then he wound up killing her off in about the first 10 minutes of the movie. And of course, we have Buster Rhymes. Trick or treat, motherfucker. That's probably the only funny thing in that movie. So, worst horror sequel is Halloween Resurrection. Question number 3 is a horror movie you wish more people would talk about. And there are some horror movies that I wish people would talk about more, and I decided to go with a movie that no one really talks about. It's a found footage movie called Afflicted. Yeah, a found footage movie that's actually decent. Basically, these two guys, they're actually good friends. They were Derek and Cliff. They actually wrote and directed this found footage movie, and it's basically these two guys. They're best friends. One of their friends is dying or is about to die because he needs some type of a transplant. They could decide to go on this trip throughout Europe. Unfortunately, during one of their stops, one of them gets afflicted by this person, and all of a sudden, he starts developing some special abilities. But there's one problem. He's got to drink blood in order to keep them. Sort of a different take of the vampire picture. So if you have not seen Afflicted, please check it out, because it's a very decent found footage horror picture. The two actors, Derek and Cliff, they're very wonderful. I hope they make more movies. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. It is Afflicted. Okay, question number 4. I've lost my place there. Question number 4. Horror remake that you prefer over the original. And I'm pretty sure that I'm probably getting some flack on that, because of all the horror movies or the remakes of horror movies that I do enjoy and I actually prefer over the original, and that is the Evil Dead remake. Yes, the Evil Dead remake. As much fun and much joy that I did have with the original Evil Dead, the Evil Dead remake kind of surpasses what the Evil Dead movie did. I mean, you have the same type of setting, but basically what I liked about what the Evil Dead did was they paid some homage to the original, but they came up with its own story. You still had the Necronomicon, you still had the Kandarian demons in there, but it was totally different story. Still kept the practical effects were decent. Obviously, Jane Levy's performance as Mia was great. She was a great uh, character in the film, and actually a great final girl too. If you want to give it even more credit, but definitely Evil Dead. I like that actually better than the original. All right, next question is horror movie that didn't live up to the hype. Now, it was kind of difficult trying to pick this one out, but I eventually found one, and that's obviously going to be Annabelle, the original Annabelle. We all know Annabelle. When The Conjuring first came out, then we had the Annabelle doll in there, and how much danger and suspense, and how much great those scenes of Annabelle is. Everyone was just waiting for her to come up with her own movie, and eventually, I think it was about a year and a half later that she actually came up with the Annabelle movie. And how disappointing it was. It wasn't that good. It was like there's some decent scenes in it, and it was just a whole totally disappointing because I think the whole character was hyped up so much, and we expected more. And at least Annabelle Creations and Annabelle Comes Home make up for the disappointment that Annabelle was, even though a lot of people didn't like Annabelle Comes Home. But I did kind of enjoy that Annabelle Comes Home. It's still better than Annabelle, but definitely Annabelle comes to mind with this one. The next question is favorite horror animal. Now, there are plenty of animals um, that we love in horror. Obviously, we have Jaws. There are some crocodile horror movies that I like say Lake Placid or Rogue. That's the Australian horror picture. I almost picked that one, but Eric actually got me into this one because no one talks about Max. Yes, the dog from Man's Best Friend. Yes, interesting horror picture right there. Ali Sheedy, of all people, stars in this particular movie. Basic plot is she breaks into this facility that's doing animal research, and she's some type of reporter that's trying to get a scoop. She frees Max. She brings Max home. Max really loves her, but what she doesn't know is Max is a genetically bred dog, and he has all these different type of traits to make him a fierce hunter. And when unfortunately, is all the side effects is that Max is basically insane. He's crazy. Which is surprising because he's nice and gentle to Ali Sheedy's character, but anyone else that he receives a threat, he attacks and attacks viciously. Lance Herkinson, we just had a birthday a couple of days ago. He's in this picture of the scientist who created Max. And a lot of people don't talk about Man's Best Friend. So if you want to see a decent animal horror picture that doesn't feature sharks or alligators or snakes, check out Man's Best Friend. All right, the next question is favorite horror book not written by Stephen King. Now, obviously, we all know Stephen King was one of the best horror novelists out there in the day, but there's some other horror novelists out there too. And one of my favorite authors is a guy named William W. Johnson, and he's wrote a series of books. And one of the best books I see him write is simply called The Devil's Cat. Yeah, a horror book called The Devil's Cat. But it's an interesting setup. We have the three main characters, Sam, Nydia, and their son Sam Jr. They go into this town, and unfortunately, it's inhabited by a bunch of demonic cats. Yeah, I know. It's like, how can you have a horror movie about cats? And aren't you a cat lover? Oh, yeah, I love pooty cats. There's nothing pootier than a pooty cat. But you don't want to fuck with these cats. But yeah, so if you actually want to read a decent horror book novel other than Stephen King, check out William W. Johnson's book. It's called The Devil's Cat. All right, the next question is favorite fire stunt in a horror movie. Now, there are plenty of fire stunts that we've seen throughout the day. We have the fire stunt in Halloween 2. There's a fire stunt in Freddy vs. Jason. There's another fire stunt in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. But one of the fascinating, I think, most scariest fire stunts I've seen in a horror movie was Hereditary. Coming towards the end of the third act, when Tony Collette's character starts sketching out, and she literally throws a book at her husband, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he spontaneously bursts into flames out of nowhere, and that's decent. I mean, yeah, it's feel terrible for the husband, but it's a very scary scene. Just came out of nowhere, and he just bursts right into flames, and he just starts walking for about a good almost minute and a half before he finally collapses. But terrific scene. So if you want to talk a fire stunt, Hereditary is the one I would go with. Alright, the next question is going to be a horror movie that you feel you're the only one that enjoys. And I'm pretty sure everyone would know what movie I'm going to pick. And actually, my good friend Knight from Night Zone Watch, he talked about his last night on his stream, which I missed because I really wanted to give my 2 cents in there, and that's Freddy's Dead. Everyone likes to hate on Freddy's Dead. I can understand why. So many aspects of the film are silly and stupid, but I did like Freddy's Dead mainly because I liked kind of the backstory that they tried to give Freddy, and that's one of the things I liked about the film. Because when you look at it, we really know some type of a story about Freddy Krueger. We know that his mother was a nun, and she was trapped in an insane asylum and was raped by a hundred maniacs or 1,000 maniacs. You really didn't know who Freddy's father was, but that's basically it. We really don't know how he grew up, how he adjusted to society, and how he'd become the man that he became. And Freddy's Dead does explore some aspects of that backstory, and I like that what the writers did. Yeah, obviously some of the stuff didn't work, but I still enjoyed it. I still think Robert Englund did a great job in it, even though a lot of people say they didn't like some of his humor. I understand some of the cartoonishness, what they were trying to go with. But hey, look, it's way better than that remake, and it's way better than Nightmare 5. So definitely Freddy's Dead for me. The next one was kind of a hard one, and that is coolest looking creature design you ever saw, but it did not have to be human first. And that's kind of hard because there are a lot of creature designs that I like, but they started to be human. I almost went to the Cthulhu from the Relic, but unfortunately that started out as a human. It started as a human before he eventually became the creature design, but I still like his creature design. I had to go all the way to the Jotun from the Ritual because I truly like that creature design because he's never something we haven't seen before in a horror movie before. It's based on Norse mythology. So that's one thing I like that aspect. We really don't get a lot of creatures from Norse mythology. Obviously, that you're talking about Thor and that particular branch, but not for the Marvel Universe. But the creature design was decent. I like kind of the elf-looking face that it has, or some type of human that it has hanging down. It's a very weird but fascinating design, and it does kill without any delays, and you really don't get a chance to see it until right around the end of the third act. But the Jotun definitely was one of the best creature designs I've seen in a horror movie. All right, the next question is a horror movie you didn't expect to like but really end up enjoying. Now, that's kind of a hard question. It took me a while to find a movie that I didn't know I was going to like but ended up enjoying. But I decided to go with a horror movie called The Empty Man because when I first saw the trailer for The Empty Man, it looked like another one of these bland PG-13 teenage kids horror pictures where, almost like The Bye Bye Man or some of these other teenage horror pictures or The Slender Man, where you have these teenage kids, they decide to know about this legend, this urban legend that haunts kids, and you don't mess with it, but they decide to mess with it anyway, and they wind up eventually killing him. And that's what the trailer kind of looked like to me. But after seeing Lee from Dundrum's review and a couple other people's review of The Empty Man, I decided, I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a chance. And I was actually quite surprised. I wound up enjoying the film. I actually did a review of The Empty Man. I'm going to leave card up there so you can check out my review of The Empty Man and find out how I liked it. I wish more people talked about it because, you know how it is when you have movies like that. Some people love it, some people not, because it is kind of a slow burn. But I did like how the myth of the empty man and how they play into it and how the kids come into it and they don't dominate the story like you would think they would. But definitely the empty man comes to mind for this category. And finally, last question is most memorable ending in a horror movie. Now, there are plenty of ones. Obviously, first one comes to mind is Sleepaway Camp. How can you not forget that ending? There's some others. I would like the ending of, what's that movie? Drag Me to Hell. That was definitely an ending I didn't see. But obviously, when it comes to horror movie endings, nothing is more devastating and more hit you in the gut than the ending in The Mist. Yeah, I'm going there. When Thomas Jane's character kills the people in the car, including his own son, and he's about to take his life, and all of a sudden, when you thought that they were all going to, that their hopes were all dashed, and they did not want to be killed by the creatures coming out from the mist, and the next thing you know, here comes the army truck, and everyone else is there, and the mist dissipates, and it's just pure shock. I mean, you cannot get an ending more shocking than you get with the ending of The Mist. Yeah, I did spoil it, so I should have put spoilers up. But I figured most people have seen The Mist anyway. It's a decent horror movie, and of course, it's based upon a Stephen King short story. But yeah, definitely you cannot get an ending more devastating and more brutal than The Mist. And so there you have it, those. That is my video for Eric's Hate Internet Horror Tag. Now comes the time where I have to tag people. I'm going to tag some people. First of all, I'm going to tag my good friend Jason from Horrific Nightmares JN. Brad from Bronco Juggalo Talks Movies. Jen and Kristen from Jen's Reviews from the Grave. Let's see, Half Cheetah Will Talk. You've been tagged in this video. My good friend Random Ross from Random Horror. Kweeny from Kweeny Todd. Got to do a tag for me. And anybody else who's watching this particular video, let's say you've been tagged by me, the Horror Miser Monty G. Just make sure you give Eric the credit because this is his tag. So there you have it. That's my video for the day, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give it a like and share because that will help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.